Have you ever seen a kid just have a meltdown? One that seems totally out of proportion to what's happening? A full-on explosion because their cookie broke, or you gave them the blue cup instead of the red one. We call these big behaviors, and honestly, they can be super confusing. So let's dive into this, because what if these behaviors aren't about a kid being bad, but about them trying to survive? Today, we're going to try and understand what happens when these huge behaviors come from very small, overwhelmed people.
I want you to just look at this image for a second. Imagine if the wiring inside your brain felt like this. Just a chaotic, tangled knot of crossed signals and short circuits. It's a really powerful way to picture what's going on inside a child who's struggling. This isn't a choice to be difficult. It's a state of complete internal chaos. They are just flooded. Their whole system is overloaded.
So that brings us to the big question, right? If it's not just a child trying to misbehave, then what is actually driving these huge, explosive behaviors? What's going on underneath all that tangled wiring? Well, to get that, we need to learn a new word. And that word is dysregulation. A really great way to think about it is to imagine the brain's fire alarm getting stuck in the on position. It's just blaring 24/7. It's this constant state of high alert, a physical response that takes over their entire body. And the most important thing to get here is that it is not a conscious choice. So here's the more official definition. It's an inability to manage emotional responses. Think of it like having a broken thermostat for your feelings. It can't adjust to the temperature in the room, so it either skyrockets to boiling hot or it plummets to freezing cold. There's just no in-between. The body's entire stress response system is just completely out of whack. And look at how far-reaching this is. This isn't just about tantrums. It messes with everything from the inside out. It affects how they process simple things like touch and sound, how they manage stress, how they get along with other kids. It even affects how they think, how they talk to themselves, and how they build the story of who they are. It really is a total system-wide breakdown.
Okay, so we've got the what, dysregulation. But to really truly get it, we have to look at the why. And the why takes us deep into the actual architecture of the brain and how it gets built by our earliest experiences, especially trauma.
So, let's start with a really basic idea. We all basically have two brains working at the same time. You've got your survival brain. It's ancient, it's instinctive, and all it cares about is keeping you safe, and it's lightning fast. Then you've got your thinking brain, which is logical, organized, and much slower. Now, in a regulated person, these two work together as a team. But in a traumatized child, that survival brain is constantly hijacking the whole system.
This picture illustrates perfectly how that happens. Brains are built a lot like a house. You have to start with the foundation and build your way up. You need a solid, secure foundation before you can even think about putting up the walls and the roof. For our brains, that foundation is all about survival and feeling regulated.
So on the left here, you can see the blueprint for typical development. The bottom layers, survival and regulation, are stable, they're proportional. This strong foundation means the brain can confidently build the upper floors for social-emotional skills and way up at the top, complex thinking and learning. The whole structure is sound.
But trauma completely rewrites the blueprint. Look at what happens on the right. With developmental trauma, the brain diverts all of its energy, all of its resources, to building this massive, oversized survival foundation. It's constantly on alert, always scanning for danger. And here's the crucial part. There's very little energy or architectural support left over to build those upper floors. So things like relating to others and reasoning are left sitting on this tiny, shaky platform. Now, it's also really important to pause here and remember that our idea of regulated behavior isn't one size fits all. What's seen as perfectly normal in one culture or family might be seen as dysregulated in another. Things like gender norms or different parenting styles, they all shape how we see a child's behavior. It's just a really key piece of context to keep in the back of your mind.
So if a brain's architecture has been literally changed by trauma, how in the world do we help? I mean, you can't just talk a kid out of it, right? We have to speak the brain's original native language. And you know what that language is? It's play.
This image is amazing. Think of it this way. Traditional talk therapy tries to use words to get in through the logical front door of the brain, but trauma often bolts that door shut. Play is the secret staircase. It uses things like rhythm and touch and sensory input to climb up from the very bottom of the brain, soothe the emotional middle part, and ultimately it helps rewire the entire brain from the bottom up.
And that is the absolute key. You cannot reason with a brain that's stuck in survival mode.
That's like trying to have a calm, logical conversation with someone in the middle of an earthquake. It's just not going to work. Play bypasses all that complex language and goes right to the heart of the matter, helping that survival brain finally learn that it's safe.
But this healing process has to be done so carefully. On the left, you've got something called flooding. It's like being on a terrifying roller coaster. It's way too much, way too fast, and it can actually make the trauma worse. But on the right, we have titration. It's about introducing healing in tiny, manageable doses, one drop at a time, that the child's nervous system can actually handle and integrate.
So what's the ultimate goal of all this work? What are we trying to achieve? It's to help a child move from that inner state of chaos to a feeling of coherence, where their body, their feelings, and their own story finally start to make sense and connect in a way that feels whole.
And if you take one single thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. The path to healing doesn't go from chaos straight to reason. It's not a direct flight. The path is from regulation to reason. You have to walk through that first door to get to the second.
And this lays it out perfectly. It's the healing journey, and it follows the reverse order of that brain pyramid we saw. Step 1 is always safety, helping the body feel safe and regulated. Only then can we move to step 2, working on relationships and understanding feelings. And only when that foundation is stable can we expect the brain to be ready for things like schoolwork and abstract thought. It has to happen in this order, period. And I want to leave you with this final really powerful thought. Those big behaviors we talked about at the beginning, the meltdowns, the defiance, that is the body screaming. The work of healing, for these kids, and honestly for all of us, is to learn how to listen to our body's quietest whispers so we never ever have to hear it scream.